Okay, good evening, Facebook and YouTube land. We are so excited to be doing the other Leviav story, the story that is counter to the Tinder Swindler. We're just going to give people a couple minutes to see that we have gone live here so that they can show up. And I can tell you that in terms of the Tinder Swindler story coming out a month ago, there were a lot of people, a lot of fans of ours who were writing in, who were very distressed that yet again there's another negative story about a Jew, about an Orthodox Jew, about Israel, and what was there to do. And I thought that the best way to counter lies is with truth. The best way to counter negativity is with positivity. And we don't have the reach of Netflix, obviously, but we have our reach, and anyone watching here today has the ability to listen, to share, share this video, share the information. And so we're so excited to introduce for you tonight Chagit Leviav. She is the CEO and president of Leviav Corporation USA. She is an actual Leviav, unlike Simon or Shimon Chayut. And she's joining us tonight to, really set the record straight about who her family is, how different they are compared to this person that impersonated them. And before I start with Chagit, just for any person that's ever had their identity stolen, whether it's someone who got your social security number or someone who, took your online name, it's such a violating feeling on a micro level to have an imposter or, a dishonest person somehow try to use your likeness in a way to benefit them. What happened to this family is on such a larger scale. And so we're here to talk about that and, kind of set the record straight. So Chagit, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Okay. So I guess, your family has been more of a private family over the years. And when we discussed talking, like, why would you say now is the right time to speak? You usually like to kind of stay below the radar. You're not seeking attention or media. Why did you decide that this was a good time to speak and tell your story?
I don't think that I'm here to tell our story. I think I'm here to clarify all the confusion that has come up because of the Netflix show that came out. It's just unbelievable how much people are confused and still do not understand that this guy is actually not a real sibling, not a real brother in the family. He has been using our name and identity for years. He has been manipulating so many people, and people really could not believe it. And they said, wait, so he's not really your brother? Okay, I don't buy it, because how does he have all your information? How did he know everything? Tell us the truth. What's going on? Now, we are, Baruch Hashem, a large family. We're 9 siblings. So having confusion between, the brothers, the siblings, the names, people tell me, I saw this brother. No, I meant this brother. This is something that happens a lot in the family. But that name, Simon, that kept coming up, no one knew who, what, and where. And especially with the bad, negative impact that he had, and every time it was something to do with unpaid debts, he owed people money. He was manipulating ladies. There was always stories with this guy. And of course, this is very damaging also to us, to our reputation, to the family, that there is a brother walking around leaving unpaid bills, just nothing like, of course, nothing like the real family ever would imagine or dare to behave. So this is the damage, and this is why we're here today.
So the world, we just found out about this story about a month ago is when it came out to Netflix. When did you first hear of this man, Simon Chayut, who, started to impersonate you? How far back did that go?
Me personally, I've heard about him for the first time in 2017. I mean, I did hear the name Simon, but I didn't really, you always hear that you have relatives somewhere. So people told me your brother, your cousin, Simon. I didn't take it seriously, but when I started seeing, I think the first shocking thing that we found out is when I got fake checks of our company from someone in Israel that was holding them. It was checks for $350,000. That's a very large amount. And he called me because he told me that he has my checks and he just wanted to make sure it's okay to deposit. I told him, what do you mean you have my checks? It's okay to deposit. What checks are you talking about? I don't send checks to Israel. Like, we wire. Can you send me the checks you're talking? So he sent me a copy of the checks, and I was in shock. First of all, I was shaking because I said, who is using fake checks of our company with our address, with information in it? You're caught. Like, it's so scary when you see that thing, because for a second I thought there's really an account like that, and maybe he opened a fake bank account. I called the bank immediately and I asked them, what's this account number? I see checks on LLD's Diamond's bank account. What's going on? They told me, no, it's not your account. It's some other old guy, nothing to do with you. So I think the panic of realizing that someone's using your information, someone's using your identity, your titles, it's creepy. It's very scary, to say the least.
And so was there anything that you were able to do right then and there? I know that he was in jail for some of the ladies, what he did.
Right. No, but so of course the first thing when I found out is you had to go to the police. I mean, what else can you do?
Right.
So we immediately filed a police report in Israel because that's where the checks were used. And unfortunately, a few months after they closed that case, they didn't see any criminal offense in those checks. So we were very frustrated. And ever since, it's the Simon Says joke in our company that every once in a while we get a check, we get an email saying, Simon, the CEO, says he wired me $100,000. Can you please advise on the payment? We want to speak to your CEO, Simon Levayev. He promised a payment for this jet, $300,000. It didn't come. He promised a payment for the boat. It didn't come. The car he selected is ready and we haven't received the payment, and so on and on and on.
Wow. So sort of the going after him with the police only sort of went so far, and he always keeps, popping up again. What would you say would be, the movie, the documentary showed how he hurt, various women along the way, in a romantic way, and then also stole, tons of money from them. What would you say would be the biggest ways that he's hurt your family?
I think the biggest damage that he's done is, of course, damage in reputation. I mean, the damage has been huge because people still are sure that there is a Levayev sibling out there that just goes and leaves debts behind them. His lifestyle, his playful life, the way he was, playing around with women, the lavish, extravagant, show-off lifestyle, which couldn't be more far than anything we're looking for. Everything he has, just the way he made Jewish people look, the way he made Israeli people look, he just caused so much damage, reputation damage for so many people, and it's really a shame.
So that's a great segue to my next question, which is, and I think that sort of wealth, the over the top wealth, that's the stuff that makes for the TV and movies that a lot of people want to watch. Your family, thank God, has been blessed to be financially successful through hard work, through actual hard work, through actually earning it. What does understated wealth look like? How does your family view the blessing of wealth when you're not using it like a Simon Chayut? And I think that we have to keep on saying his real name in order to return to the truth, Simon Chayut, Shimon Chayut, as opposed to, who he pretends to be. So how does your family, because, wealth for anyone is a challenge. You can really mess it up and do crazy things with it. For a religious Jew, I would say it's a special type of test of how do you use it in a meaningful way. So what would you say your family's philosophy on that is?
I think, first of all, that I couldn't be more blessed that I have the parents that I have that raised me the way they raised me, because, when they gave us the example of how to behave, this is what we knew and this is what they taught us. So I can never tell you that what I saw at home is like just, people think that money buys you happiness. You always are in the chase for the good life, for the fancy clothes, for the fancy cars, for the private jets, for the most luxury in everything, on the spending. We never were raised like that. Never. This is not my mom, not my dad. None of them were craving that lifestyle. We always kept it more quiet, more modest, and the biggest role model that I saw in my parents since I was born is how to do something for the others. How do you pass it forward? We were blessed. How do we help the entire world? How do we make a change that can affect everyone? How do we get everyone involved with us to make an impact on the world? So as a child, I was traveling and joining my parents on trip. They would go to Eastern Europe. My parents founded over 300, 400 schools, Jewish centers for kids that didn't know they were Jewish. Shuls, Jewish schools, orphanages, so many Jewish activities. That was my father's mission in life. The Lubavitcher Rebbe blessed him that he's going to be successful, and he has to take care and do shlichut, do work in Eastern Europe to bring Jewish people closer and help them out. And this is all I've seen all my life: how to build, how to make an impact, how to save another Jew, how to help others, not how I make my life better, how I get a bigger house, how to make my life better and better, because that's not the true happiness. The true happiness is see how your blessing can be moved on forward to other people and how it can affect and help other people. That's the true happiness in life.
And the exact opposite of what this impersonator has spent his life doing.
Couldn't be more opposite than this. Yes, definitely. It's not even. I'm even embarrassed to compare. But
and he forced that comparison. The next thing I would say, and I think having that grounding, and look, there can be other people, there can be secular or non-religious people that also can use their wealth in a way that benefits others. That's not solely a Jewish thing only, although it's certainly a very big foundation of Jewish beliefs. But another point, another segue would be that it was brought up the background that Shimon Chayut came from, that he was from a religious family in Israel, and that did sort of bring the religious Jewish community into that. And obviously these values are lying, stealing, a crazy lifestyle like this is as far from a happy and wholesome Jewish lifestyle as possible. So can you tell me about your family's connection to Judaism? Your father was not raised religious. He came to observance over time. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey and sort of your Jewish education and the values that your family holds in Judaism?
So both my parents were born in former Soviet Russia, in Uzbekistan, and when they were growing up, it was a communism time. So you were not allowed to be a Jew. You had to hide your Judaism. You were not allowed to circumcise baby. You're not allowed to keep Shabbat. So my father's experience, especially my father, is like so strong, knowing that he has to. They really sacrificed their life in order to keep Judaism. When they made Aliyah, when he was 15, all his life he actually. So we were, as you understand, we're born. My parents were born. My mom was not so much religious, but my father was very much religious. They were really the leaders of the Jewish community at the time in Uzbekistan to keep the morale up, help people. We're going to do this. Don't give up. My grandfather was a mohel. He used to go once a week to every city around the neighborhood where they used to live and circumcise all the kids that used to be born that week. So the stories of Mesirut Nefesh and Judaism is really something that we heard from young age, and we're really born into it. And so was my father. I mean, there's a famous story that we built the first mall ever in Israel, Ramat Aviv Mall, that in Tel Aviv, in the center of Tel Aviv, where unfortunately most of the people are the opposite of keeping Shabbat. And he decided that he's going to keep the mall closed on Shabbat. And I'm talking about, what was it, like 25 years ago, people were protesting in front of our house. We got letters, the whole media was outside of our door. It was really a crazy time, and there was so much pressure on us that you're not going to tell us how to live our life. We want our mall open on Shabbat. This is our day off. We want to enjoy. We want to relax. And it was also a very tough business decision because we thought that the mall is going to lose a lot of money. But my father's belief in religion, there is a blessing that Shabbat is the day off. You're relaxing, and it's never going to hurt your parnasa, your wealth. So he kept them all closed as promised, and it's one of the success stories of Israeli malls. It became the biggest and the most successful malls in Israel. So I cannot tell you that religious, not religious. Religion was always our way to live. That's the way we saw life. That's what kept us grounded in this roller coaster of a life we've been in, and till today, I can tell you that religion keeps me grounded. Shabbat is a day off. If I didn't have Shabbat to relax, I would be on Shabbat and work also, because work never ends and it doesn't stop. It gives you the boundaries to live your life according to the Torah. So yes, we were always religious. I was born and raised religious. And funny enough, I can tell you that Shimon, the Tinder Swindler we're talking about, is from Bnei Brak, which is the city that I also grew up in many years in my life. I also grew up in Belgium, but Bnei Brak was really our hometown. So I can only imagine how he must have heard about us, saw us, and just imagined how one day he's also going to be as successful and wealthy, and just wanted to adopt the jet set life, which he thought was what we're all about, and just adopted and impersonated to be us and stole our identity and went on a trip.
See, I just want to make a point now. What made your life good, what makes your life good is your values, is that you have, these beautiful values. You have this healthy approach to life. That's what makes your wealth also become a good thing. When you just have, and he doesn't have the wealth, but when you just have sort of the outer trappings without the foundation of the values and the commitment to those values and to the healthiness, then it's all garbage, and then you become famous for being a swindler. Okay, and I guess like what I've sort of answered a bunch of my questions kind of all at once now. So I guess yeah, no, it's good. I mean, these are it's a lot of good points that we're bringing out now, and I hope this conversation will be shared so people can understand what your family actually is about, what your values really are. But he brought down the reputation of Israel, religious Jews, your family. Sort of, I guess, closing statements before we open up to questions, if anyone has any. What do you wish viewers out there could actually know about Israel, religious Jews, and your family?
So first of all, I think that every incident that happens to a person does not mean that, everyone is like that. So, if there's one rotten apple, it doesn't say anything about the rest of the Jewish people, the rest of the Israeli. I think everyone feels pretty ashamed and embarrassed to say that he is amongst us. Obviously us, ashamed that he chose us to be identified with us. He knew what our family name and reputation can give him. He knew how much he can gain and how much he can manipulate people with that, which is why he chose it. And I mean, again, it's not something that is against all the Israelis or against all the Jewish people, but it's very unfortunate to see when stories like that are being picked up and highlighted.
And by the way, that's something else that I did want to also mention as well. And the reason that so many people brought this sort of story to us and said, what can we do about this, is because, as a nonprofit, we are very concerned about the depictions of Jews and religious Jews in media. And there's obviously been other stories of swindlers before. I mean, a famous one is Catch Me If You Can. I saw that movie. I read that book. That guy seemed to do like some sort of tshuva and reform himself. This guy, I saw he's got an agent now. I don't even understand how he's still on the loose. And,
he's going to Hollywood.
It's insane. I do wonder, though, for the associations with the Jewish community to pick up a story about a swindler. We're in an age right now where, and this has to do with a new program that we started, the JITC Hollywood Bureau. We discovered a few months ago every minority group has a bureau in Hollywood where they advocate for, fair portrayals, accurate portrayals, moving away from stereotypical portrayals. And, the Muslim community has worked very hard to not always be the terrorist, to make sure that that storyline doesn't keep happening. And you rarely see that now because they've been working on that. I think, the idea of a Jew being highlighted, an Israeli being highlighted as a swindler, as a thief, when that sadly, there is some stereotyping around that, being so obsessed with money and so dishonest. I feel frustrated that a story like this is picked up because the majority of stories that are pitched to, producers never see the light of day. And Netflix does seem to have a certain interest in, continuously negative Jewish stories, negative Orthodox stories. And so besides even, what he's done to your family, which is, a tremendous amount of damage. And, that's the sort of thing, like, how do you put that back in? It's the story of what someone speaks Lashon Hara when someone gossips and, and he tells the rabbi, I want to sort of make amends for what I did. And the rabbi tells him, cut open a feather pillow and spread the feathers everywhere. And he says, okay, now what do I do? Now go gather the feathers. So that's the sort of thing. You can't put that stuff back in the bag about your family's reputation. But then sort of the larger conversation about the continuous negative portrayals. I would like to see. Yeah.
By the way, this is exactly the point. So people told me, you knew about him for so many years and how come you didn't do anything about it? So, why would I want to highlight a swindler, a criminal, and give him the platform that this guy is looking for, other than going to the police and warning our family and close friends, business associates, that there is a crook out there that is impersonating to our family. I mean, what else can I do? And, it's unfortunate that these days I have to deal with him and talk about him and highlight him even more because it came to a point that the whole world is talking about it. Everybody wants to know. Everybody saw the show and wants to share their opinion and their frustration that he's out there, that he's living his life in Tel Aviv. How come he's not in jail? How come you guys are not doing anything? So, we're in a place that we have nothing to do but to come up here and speak about it. And unfortunately, give him the platform that he always wanted. And I understand what you're saying, that it's unfortunate that Netflix chooses always to highlight story about, the wrong side of what Jewish people do. But I have mixed feeling about this because if Netflix wouldn't highlight this guy, he would still keep doing whatever he was doing because he's been doing it for so many years and nothing stopped him.
No, I hear you. I mean, it's sort of a question of where's law enforcement. I think the people that should not be blamed are the victims. I think the fact that people are coming to your family and saying, why didn't you do more is victim blaming, which, we understand is something that you should not do. I mean, and the fact that the movie, only highlighted some of his victims and, sort of turned you into, his accomplices somehow when you are just as victimized, in your own way as some of these other people.
But people always have more judgment towards the stronger victim. Like, you're strong, you guys have money, you have to put him, you have connections. No, put him away. What? It's so easy for you. That's what, people think, like we're so powerful. We control everything. We can do whatever we want. It doesn't work like that. And, of course, now when the damage is out there, he has done what he has done, so we took it into our own hands. And if the police is not going to do anything, so we're going to fight as hard as we can to make sure he pays, because enough is enough. And he's not going to Hollywood, and he's not going to get the fame and the dreams that he's dreaming for. It's just not going to happen. Like, enough with playing games. He has done so much damage. Other than, the three ladies that were in that movie, there's so many other victims, so many people who lost so much money, and they're so embarrassed to admit because, just like, as you said, victim shaming, everyone's, telling these girls, oh, come on, well, you're so dumb. Like, how'd you fall for it? It was so obvious. No, it was not so obvious. The guy is very sophisticated. He's very smart. And all these big victims, big companies, okay? I'm talking about companies that never give a jet to anyone before the money hits their account. How did they fall for it? He knew how to manipulate his ways around. He faked emails, text messages from my father himself saying, I'm wiring you today, let my son go. the guy has been playing as dirty as possible, and it's time to pay back. It's like time to pay.
Time for it to end. I want to open up now if anyone has any questions before we finish up. And I mean, and we saw in the news that your family has sued him now, and you're trying, if you're able to collect any money, and the guy has no money. I mean, the guy has nothing real to his name, but
well, it depends who you ask. He's
right.
He's living the life, apparently, going Ferrari shopping, right? Lives in a fancy apartment. I mean, he obviously swindled so many people already, so he can afford for now this lifestyle. But yeah, so we filed a criminal complaint for now. And we're working also on a civil lawsuit, and whatever we're going to be able to collect from him is going to be donated to his victims.
Beautiful. I mean, yes, it's true. On one hand, I would agree with you. On one hand, Netflix does have a real interest in showing Jews negatively. On the other hand, bad people need to be stopped. And, you know, sunlight is the best disinfectant. And so,
again, I don't think we should take any ownership on his actions.
Yep.
He does not represent any Jew, for that matter. No one. The fact that I mean, he decided to leave Judaism. He's not a observant Jew, you know. He's not a role model or an example for anyone with Jewish values. The guy has zero morals, zero values. I'm not even insulted as a Jew because he does not represent anything of me. So I don't think we have to take it so hard. The fact that he's a Jewish is a coincidence. You know, his actions are despicable, and like we shouldn't even take it like personally.
All right, so this actually leads into a question. Sherry wants to know, do you feel sorry for him in any way? Is there anything he can do to make this right?
If he can make, I mean, maybe he was born this way, but I don't think there's anything he can do. He's not normal.
He's not. I mean, the truth is that someone that ends up like this, I have to imagine that there was some dysfunction or something along the way. I think people like this are not born. I think that they are made from some sort of, you know, life. I actually, and I'm not used, so he didn't use my name, but I have, while he's a despicable person and done horrible things, every, you know, abuser had, I'm sure, some sad past, and they had different choices of how they could have responded, obviously, and to go out and to become such a manipulator and abuser obviously is not the right way. I think someone like this is so detached from reality. I don't even know if he could make amends at this point. He would have to sort of recognize the fault in his ways. And I think when someone is operating, it seems like some sort of a personality disorder. Now, I'm not a psychologist, but something that's so detached from reality.
I'm not a therapist, but just a few of his interviews where you could see what he's saying, how he's disconnected from reality. He's saying this, he just wanted to have fun with girls on Tinder. He never claimed to be anyone of the family. This is all a lie. You know, he never stole $1 from anyone. This guy is in his own world, and you know,
yeah, he's sort of, I think, sort of too far from Yom Kippur coming up. AK Studio Films wants to know, why don't you go after Netflix for publishing it?
What is it going to help me?
Right.
They can publish whatever they want. I mean, what they could have done is, I guess, call us for a comment, see what we think. Unfortunately, they didn't do that, which was very disappointing. But you know, we had to find out, just like everyone else, that he was using our fake stubs, using fake, you know, bank statements, wires, a lot of stuff family photos that I wasn't aware until the show came out, which was a complete shock to me.
Wow.
But I'm sure they have their reasons why they didn't want to reach out to us. But
and just also, just to clarify for anyone watching and wondering this, because of the First Amendment, freedom of speech, there's very little power that you have to quash a true story. You know, freedom of speech laws in America are very lax and give people a lot of room to talk. And so,
but usually if you mention people's information in there, personal photos that they have not asked permission to use, they definitely need to ask for permission. They need to at least let you know. They have to ask for a comment. I'm not going to tell you they're saints that they haven't contacted us. They are not. But you know, one problem at a time. We're focused on Simon right now, not on Netflix.
Wow. Well, you know, we really appreciate your sitting down with us tonight. I know it's been a really stressful time for your family to have to deal with this. I mean, I don't think anyone watching right now can even imagine what that's like to just sort of wake up. When did you even know that this movie was coming out? Like, how much advance warning did you have that suddenly you were going to be featured on Netflix in a way that you had no control over?
First of all, we had no idea that we were going to be featured. We knew that Shimon Chayut, the swindler, is going to be featured because he was bragging about it in an interview. He was saying that he's getting a lot of money from Netflix because they're doing a big show on him.
It's a lie.
Little did he know that the show is on him and he's not getting $1. And so we knew there was a show. I just never thought that they would actually use our name, show our pictures, show our website. It was really shocking.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, we wish you, first of all, anyone watching, please, clarify this information with the people in your network. As a social media organization that's been relying on word of mouth and sort of, grassroots efforts, I really am a big believer in sort of taking interviews like this and information like this and sharing with your network and starting to, turn the tide so that more people understand the truth. I can tell you that one of our fans who, was a proud Orthodox woman, just assumed the worst things about your family. And when we posted about this, she said, wow, I had no idea. I thought they were in on this. And I'm so glad that you clarified this. So, Hagit, we are using our channons and, we'll ask.
This is so sad for me to hear.
I know.
This is exactly, why I'm doing here, because trust me, the last thing I want to do is go online and be associated with a swindler. With disgrace to everyone who knows him. So let alone people thinking and assuming that he's a part of our family, which is such a shame.
Well, look, may your family continue to be blessed with, all the opportunities to continue to help, Klal Yisrael and the world, and use the blessings that you've been given only for the good, for this man to be brought to justice as he deserves, for people to understand truth versus falsehood. And yes, continue to, keep shining your light in your way. And hopefully that light maybe will spread further and further. And we know it's not as tantalizing and scandalous as the sort of things that Netflix normally goes for, but, your light is the kind of light worth sharing. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Allison. Thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you so much for watching, and have a great night. Bye-bye.
Thank you.